Okay, hey guys, welcome to Game and Talk. We have a banging episode to talk about.
What is
Hi
wrong
guys,
with you?
I was impersonating Josie. Hi guys, I'm your host for today. I'm Celia. I'm also joined by MPG. Say hi.
Hello. It's great to be here.
Sean, introduce yourself.
I'm RGT85. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, today's as I said, is a pretty cool episode. We're gonna be talking about the DS. It's 20 years old. Oh my gosh. The sales coming out and a bunch of other cool things. But before we jump into it, we have some shout outs from our amazing crew. Patreon, are they called Patreon subscribers? Is that how I refer to them as?
Yes.
So shout out to John O, our executive producers. So our executive producers, John O, Mr. Job, the Game Orb, Trent A, and Drunk on. Oh yes, that's it. But for our star supporters, a big thanks to Drunk on Tacos. I should have practiced this. A Billion Cats, Adam B, or I should say his last name, Adam Baldazon, Adam Sharp, Andre Stevens, Austin Long, and Austin Reynolds. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it. It's awesome.
That's a lot of Austins.
Yeah, we're collecting them. So if your name's Austin, you should join that crew because that's cool. We should collect them all. It's like that Facebook group where they were looking for as many Joshes as possible so that you could have like a fight in the park or something. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's cool. I can't really do that with Celia's because there's like 5 of us. But I always get excited when other people have my name. Anyways, so using that as a transition, so the DS is 20 years old now. Are you guys feeling old?
I mean, I've felt old for the last 30 years, Celia. So,
okay, shit. We all just get sad.
I just feel like, this is just another one of those milestones that comes and goes, and you just kind of, remember how old you are and how old you're getting over time. But DS, 20 years, I mean, that's a long time ago. It doesn't feel like 20 years for me that the system came out, but it was a great system when it launched.
Do you remember buying it? Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you remember it?
I do actually remember buying it. I got the original model with like the clamshell one, the one that wasn't the light version like the original one, and I liked it. But I remember I was kind of like looking over what PlayStation was doing with the PSP, and I was kind of insanely jealous that the PSP was like way more powerful than the DS. But I decided that I would just stick with the DS, and I'm glad I did because it really is a great system. It has there's a lot of great games on there, a lot of hidden gems on that system as well. You have to really kind of dig a little deeper to find, but yeah, I remember getting one. It was good times.
Sean, how about you? Do you remember where you were when the DS came out?
Yeah, I was a freshman at community college, and my best friend's girlfriend bought him one, and I was like, man, that shit's lame. Of course, I didn't say lame. We said the word that we used to say for lame back in the early 2000s. And so he didn't get a game with it or anything. He just had the Metroid Prime Hunter's First Hunt demo. And like he turned it on and he showed me like where Samus was crouched down and then she stood up. And I was like, holy shit, that's the coolest fucking thing in the world. And I was like, I got to buy this. So I ended up calling around a bunch of places the next morning, and a place, a Sam Goody, about 40 minutes away, had one in stock, and they're like, we're not holding it for you. I was like, I will be there in 40 minutes. I was actually at school and I just left and I went and I bought it, and I bought Super Mario 64 DS, and there was this place called Blue Hall, which had like, they had a Cruisin' World arcade cabinet in there, and like that's where like you would go to like eat and stuff like that, but you could smoke cigarettes in there at the time. And so for the rest of the day, I skipped all my classes and I just sat there and smoked a pack of cigarettes playing Super Mario 64 DS for the Nintendo DS. And it was weird because like I could have left and went home because I had my own apartment, and it wasn't like my parents were going to be like, why are you home? because they didn't even live here. But I just decided like I was comfortable. You know, I was mad comfortable.
So you came from Mario. You came from the N64, so you remember Mario 64 on the N64 back in those days, right?
Yes.
So what did you think of the DS version? Because I know people really like the DS version, and people say it's phenomenal. I could never really get into the DS version after the N64 version.
Once I got used to the controls, I loved it because of the additional content and stuff like that.
The content was, I mean, you couldn't fault that aspect of it, but the controls was the part that really just I couldn't get my head around the controls, and in the end I was like, N64 version's far superior, and I just went back to it after that.
I mean, that's how I am. Like, I don't go back and play Super Mario 64 DS. I play Super Mario 64 on the N64. But at the time, like, I managed to get used to it. And I do agree with you about the hidden gems of the system. There was lots of cool stuff on there. I was actually one of the top Nano Stray players in the world at one point in time for level 1, Mitsiran Jungle. My best friend, the same one whose girlfriend bought him a DS for a period of time, couple months, was actually the #1 Nano Stray player for Mitsiran Jungle. It's good times.
I agree. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Celia.
No, I agree on the sentiment with Mario 64. I was a Nintendo 64 kid. And yeah, when I saw the DS version, I was like, wow, that looks great. But I have it on my N64, so why would I buy a new one? I felt the same way about Ocarina of Time and the Majora's Mask remake later on. It's just like that's how it is in my head, and I know it looks better technically on the DS, but yeah, if I have it already, it just didn't make sense to me at the time, and just having it be a handheld. Okay, let's see. Lives. I'm so tired. Sorry. Lives of Phil Spencer. Celia, what are your 3 all-time favorite movies? That's a good question. I don't really have favorite movies. Do you guys have favorite movies? Real quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Batman, 1989, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like, I could watch those a million times over, but then there's other ones that you could substitute. You know, you could throw in Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands.
I was thinking something like Scarface would be in the mix for me. Maybe Terminator 2 as well. Maybe Goodfellas. I like those gangster movies, you know, from the 90s and 2000s.
What's that noise?
Oh, that's Schmutz. He's meowing up a storm. You want to say hi to my cat?
No.
Sure? You don't want to appear on here? So I think the reason that I don't have favorite movies, because I know I sound like a serial killer when I say that. It's just that like when I was young, I'd watch them with my dad, and my dad like worked in the movie industry. And so he would like talk during the entire movie, and he'd be like, cut every time there was like a scene change or continuity, or like there was like, you know, when the shots weren't clean, it was like over the shoulder or anything. He would just comment what the film direction was, and it would drive me crazy. So I just wouldn't enjoy movies as a kid. So as I went into as an adult, I just would be like, no, I'm okay. So I feel like that's why. But there are a lot of good movies out there. Like I'll watch them. I just don't have like a favorite I would keep on watching. Yeah, Josie got a haircut. That's why she's different. But everything else is the same.
Not wrong.
So
Chinatown Wars. Chinatown Wars is a DS game that I think about a lot with a lot of love for, because for me that was the game that made me realize how awesome the DS was. That it got its own GTA game, and man, I don't know what you think about Chinatown Wars, Sean, but I really like that game a lot.
Oh no, I fucking loved it. You know, they did decent enough with the soundtrack, you know, all things considered, because you still had like Alchemist beats on there that were songs just without the lyrics. But no, like moving keys with the touch screen was fucking awesome, dude.
I love that.
Yeah, this rules. And like you'd have to, you know, undo the screws and stuff like that to like hotwire the car and stuff. Like I thought that game was super cool. Like that was like peak creativity
Oh, yeah.
on the DS. I really like, I always talk about it, the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Think like a Hexen style game. You go into like a main town, and then they're like, help us, you got to kill the Warlock on Firetop Mountain. And you're like, okay. And then the rest of the game is like a first person. I wouldn't say dungeon crawler because it's more of a first person, you move wherever you want. But I remember that IGN said they got like 20% of the way through and the game got too hard. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going to beat this game. And like, that was my motivation 20 plus years ago. So I've always had beef with journalists. That's nothing new, pal. But yeah, and I beat it, and I felt so satisfied. And I was like, yeah. And it's a super cool game. Like think of like Doom sprites on the N64. Like, they're not 3D sprites, they're all flat sprites. But like but it looks good. Like the 3D engine on it looks pretty good on it. And then of course, Metroid Prime Hunters. That was my most. I mean, we went through so many DSs playing that game online. Me and my buddy were in clans and shit like that on GameFAQs. And whenever we would, because you'd have to shoot with the R trigger. Whenever we would break a DS, I was working at GameStop at that time, so I would just take it into GameStop and say that, because like back at that time, they did the thing where it was like, you bought this DS from us and it broke. Oh, well, you could bring it back and, you get another one. And the way we would handle it on the employee end was basically you would just damage stuff out. And then somebody would get a DS. So at that time, you didn't have to like show a receipt or an ID or anything. There was no cameras or anything like that. So I'd break a DS, I'd bring it to work the next day. Oh, look who got a new DS. Rob would break his DS. I'd be like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it tomorrow. He'd get a new DS. It was good times, man. It was good times.
I'm so happy for you. Did any of you guys play 999?
Yes. I love that game.
I've never played it.
Good. You have to. It's
I'll
like it's like a mystery, like puzzle solving visual novel, which I know doesn't sound that exciting, but it is so much fun. I love visual novels too, so to me that sounds exciting. But it's really fun.
It's not weeby. It's not very weeby because I liked it.
Right.
It's more like kind of Saw-ish in a way.
Yeah, it's a murder game. It's really clever. You have to really think on certain, like some of the puzzles, because sometimes like they'll be too easy, but like for this game, they're not. I really enjoyed it. I know that there's more games in the saga, but that was the only one I played. So
yeah. Do you ever play Hotel Dusk?
No.
Oh,
I did.
Fuck.
That game is great. Yeah.
Hotel Dusk is the shit, dude. You need to play that if you have a DS still. Like, buy one of those multi-carts or something.
I have one. It's probably on there.
Yeah.
Hotel Dusk.
Yeah. It's a mystery game where like you're investigating stuff. You get clues and shit like that, and you're trying to figure out things. You're at a weird hotel. You're trying to figure out why you're there, what kind of brought you there. There's weird people there. You have to do really interesting. You hold the DS like a book, kind of like how you would do with Ninja Gaiden DS, which is another fucking banger of a game. Before we get too deep into that, we do have 2 super chats.
Okay. Woden's Throne says, I think the remakes of OOT and Majora's Mask ruin the atmosphere of the originals, not to mention Nintendo started censoring elements of Ocarina of Time after the gold cartridge release. I feel like for like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, like I didn't play it on the DS because I didn't find a point to it. I got frustrated.
Those were 3DS.
Oh, those were 3DS? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm misremembering. When I say DS, I just combine it all in my head. The reason
Nintendo
that I didn't
with
share
Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
I know, it's one of those situations. It's got like another reason like that I didn't share like my DS memory was like my first DS was the DS Lite. So like I didn't play it for like a couple of years later. But yeah, what did they censor from Ocarina of Time besides the music? And
I'm curious about that as well, because I am currently playing through Ocarina of Time on the N64 it's version 2 because I wanted to do the widescreen Game Shark hack. And I always hear people mention the censoring of
So
Ocarina, and I never know what they're referring to. So I'm genuinely curious, Woden's Throne.
So from what I know, there's two things. It's the music in the Fire Temple. It used to have like kind of a religious chanting to it that I think they changed in later versions of the game post, I think, the Japanese release. And then Ganon's blood. So you remember when you like kick his ass at the end and he starts like coughing up green blood? It
Yeah.
used to be red. And those are the only two changes I can think of off the top of my head. Before I was like corrected about the 3DS, I was agreeing that with Majora's Mask, they added a bunch of quality of life improvements. And that's what pissed me off because I loved dealing with the 3-day bullshit.
No,
I don't know
I'm the
why.
complete opposite.
I know.
I hate Majora's Mask on the N64.
How
I don't
dare
play
you.
it. But when the 3DS version came out, I liked it a lot more. I still don't think it's great. It's definitely a lower tier Zelda game for me. And everyone says, "Oh, the story's so dark. It's so blah blah blah."
It's so good.
It doesn't matter. I don't like
No,
the
it's
masks.
amazing.
I don't like the mask abilities. I don't like time limits. Get that fucking shit out of here.
Love that stuff. I love that so much that I think that like solidified me as a Zelda fan. Like I like Zelda, but Majora's Mask is my favorite because of all the things that Sean hates.
It was very polarizing for sure. I didn't really. I played it. I finished it. I didn't care for it that much.
How dare you guys?
The goat, and this is the gold edition. Another super chat here.
Team MV. Okay, Andy Ackerman says, "Team MVG today. Get off my lawn."
Appreciate you, Andy.
Got another one. Oh, the Zora tits.
Oh, there was Zora boobs. Lit. Okay. Vampire Slayer 83 says, "Sup guys, good to see you all. I can't promise I won't make trouble tonight. RGT's favorite movie is definitely Boku no Pico. We all know it is. Nintendo had good games this year, but they are Game of the Year. Debatable.
I
But
don't
are
know
they
what
Game of the Year?
Boku no Pico is, but I like
Oh,
Pico
it's
de
just-
Gallo. So
It's just a wholesome anime. You should check it out if you haven't watched it. Not anyone watching, just Sean.
any other cool DS memories or stories?
I don't know. Ace Attorney's rad. It's what introduced me. I think it introduced most of the states to the Ace Attorney franchise because it was originally a Game Boy Advance game, but then when they brought it over to the states, they released it on the DS, if I am remembering correctly. I love those games. MG, am I wrong?
I think no. I was gonna. You just mentioned Game Boy Advance. Now, was that the first system that had like backward compatibility for
the
Game
DS?
Boy, Game Boy Color.
Oh,
the-
Yeah. The SP / Game Boy Advance did Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. No, you couldn't shove your Game Boy
You're
Advance
right.
cart in your Game Boy. I
You're
tried, okay?
GBA to Game Boy. You're right. Yeah, that was before the DS. But I really loved the fact that they had the GBA slot in at least the initial versions of the hardware, because I was still very much invested in Game Boy Advance at that point when the DS came out. I wasn't really ready for another system, but it was just another value add that I really liked in the end.
Well, you had it on the DS and the DS Lite. The DSi did not have one. But
that's correct.
You did get weird versions of stuff like Earthworm Jim and Rayman on the DSi done by Game Loft.
Yeah.
They were budget priced and they weren't terrible.
Massive Recon says, "Awesome to see MVG on here, but did Josie get the boot?" Of course not. Josie's just busy.
Nah, she
DVD Night 1 says, "Appreciate you all. We appreciate you too."
more.
Oh, Luis Barrio says, "Could a disappointing game conclusion negatively impact your overall perception of the game? Additionally, I propose extending an invitation to Mr. Harry Bolsonaro to participate in the podcast." I don't know who Harry is.
Yeah, I see where he's going with this.
Harry balls on you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I paused and then I said it a different way. Nice try.
Can the negative game ending influence how you feel about a game? I
Yes.
mean, yeah, I think so. If an ending sucks,
I
just
mean,
like a movie.
I-
If the ending of a movie sucks, and I'm gonna walk away feeling like I didn't like that as much as I thought I did.
Okay, but
The
with the
Last of Us
game,
Part 2.
would the game like for the rest of it be really good? Because if it is, I'll just say don't finish the game. But like if you enjoy most of it, it's a good time.
I mean,
think
The
we
Last
will
of
take part.
The Last of Us Part 2's story conclusion was utter dog shit, and it ruined the good gameplay that was accompanying it. And it's so like I get it. I get what you're trying to do, but you didn't have to be so on the head with it. You didn't have to hit the nail so far on the head. You could have hit it a little off to the side, left a little more ambiguity with it, and I think it would have made for a better closing experience, and I probably would have liked the game more. But especially like if it's a fucking Mario game, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody cares about the story in that. But if it's a story driven game and then the story ending is dog water, like I mean, look at Shenmue 3.
Yeah.
Shenmue 3 isn't a terrible game, but it did nothing to advance the story that so many people had been waiting to be advanced.
Side note, shout out to Franceby for gifting 20 Game and Talk podcast memberships. That's really cool of you, and thank you so much.
Oh, that's Todd Howard.
Yeah, it's Todd Howard.
Oh,
Thank you,
thanks,
Todd.
Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, Mr. One Up. A DS memory I have is me and a group of friends. We held a Mario Kart tourney, and even Mario Hoops 3-on-3 one as well. That's awesome.
Mario Hoops 3-on-3 was fucking badass because it was Mario and Final Fantasy for some reason. They're like, all right, Square, or was it Squaresoft? No, I guess it was Square Enix at the time. They were just like, yeah, we're making this. We're putting Final Fantasy shit in there. And I was like, okay. Whoa.
Whoa.
All right. You're on
Rude.
you're on a very tight leash right now, pal.
It's all right. It's all right, Todd. I played the DLC. It's fine. Could have been better. We'll get him next time.
Side note for the DS, I know we've slightly moved on, but I forgot to bring up Nintendogs. And I noticed that someone mentioned that in chat. So Nintendogs is great. We need another one. Okay, that's all.
I mean, honestly, and my final thoughts on the DS was, I mean, the DS was really the last time Sakurai made a good game. And that
I
game,
don't agree with that.
That game was Medios.
Medios?
Fantastic game.
What if he's working on that for the next?
That's what I want. Fuck Smash Brothers. God damn, there's enough of them. You've already done everything. Make another Medios. That game was top fucking tier, man.
So, conveniently transitioning. I don't know how to transition these things. But yeah, so in other Nintendo news, there was a sale going on. It's a really big one. It's for Black Friday. It's the Cyber Deal sale on NOA. I don't know if those deals are accessible for NOE as well, but there's some pretty deep discounts. Have you guys gotten a chance to peruse it?
I'm looking right now.
I made a video on it today. That was my.
Oh, great! You're a pro. Okay, rapid fire. What game do you recommend that's on your list?
Honestly, Sonic Superstars. It's
Nice.
$17.99.
Well, how much is normal price?
$60, I think.
Oh shit, that's great.
Yeah.
Hello Kitty and Friends is $2 on the Switch. I have actually no idea if that game's good. It's probably
some
not.
good deals here for sure. Hogwarts is 70% off.
Yeah,
$21. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
GTA Trilogy, which just got patched and is way better now, as well.
Yes,
some good stuff. Yeah,
that's another good one. If you don't have GTA Trilogy and Sonic Superstars, I say those two. I mean, you're getting out for, I think GTA Trilogy is $30. Sonic Superstars is $18, so like $50 for the two of them, and you're gonna have a good time because they're well-made games.
Some of my recommendations are, first off, the
Oh yeah,
Shovel Knight
Captain
series.
Toad too.
Oh, come on. Okay. Captain Toad's really good. How much is Captain Toad?
I think it was 20 or 29, 21, something
Okay.
like that. I don't remember. I love
Okay,
that
nice.
fucking game though. Where's my sequel to that? Stop making
Yeah.
all this other dog water shit and give me my Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 2.
Nice. So for my recommendations, the Shovel Knight series is 50% off, just plugging that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun games there. But for other stuff, Yuka is only $3, so I thought that was cool. I like the ukulele games. I like 3D platforming. I like Banjo-Kazooie humor. The Mario Rabbids game is 60%, 67% off.
Yeah, it's $19.79.
Yeah, I really like that
Sonic
game.
Superstars, 70% off, $17.99. Good
Are you-
deals here.
That's the one. That's the one everyone needs to buy.
Yeah, there's so many. Let's see.
Holy shit.
Vampires.
Mortal Kombat. Sorry, Celia. Mortal Kombat
sorry.
11 is $10, 80% off. I may have to cop some of these. Some good stuff. Yeah.
There's a lot of really deep discounts this year, which is exciting. And yeah. Let's see. Vampire Slayer for the $20. Thank you so much. Your favorite 2 Zelda games are Link Between Worlds and Wind Waker. Wind Waker is so good. We need a remake. Majora isn't even top 5, mainly for the whole time thing. I will disappoint Sean. I don't like Metal Gear. Sorry. Never have. There. I said it.
If you don't like all of Metal Gear, that's fine. I don't, that doesn't even bother me. But to single out Metal Gear Solid 3 is sadistic. Like there's something wrong with you.
Let's see. Lemstar FF16 Pixel Remastered Physical for $50, I think. That's
Whoa,
cool.
Mr. One-Up, is that Samurai Showdown the Switch version? If so, that's one of the best fighting games on the fucking Switch. If it's only $10, 60 frames, locked 60 frames. Like, yeah, the graphics are a little blurry, but like it's more than playable. They're like, it's a way better experience than like Mortal Kombat 1. It's the deluxe version too. All right, so add that to the list. Sam Show for 10. So that's what you get. You get Sam Show, you get Sonic Superstars, you get GTA Trilogy. You're getting out for the price of a new game, and you're playing classic franchises.
I would also throw in, I know we talked about it, but just to reiterate, Ukulele and the Impossible Lair, $3, 90% discount.
That's a really good deal.
Giving that shit away.
What you say?
Is there an upgrade path to the new version or no?
It's a good question.
I don't think so. I would assume that it's a new game and it's going to be sold for full price. It wouldn't make sense to have it be otherwise. I know that like the upgrade pack is something that we're getting used to on other platforms, but it just because it's becoming more common doesn't mean that it's standard.
Some good deals here for sure.
12 feet tall. You're not. I like Silent Hill 4. So even if you're trolling, I am a fan of Silent Hill 4: The Room. I think it's good with the fucking monkeys in the subway. Oh, hee ha ha. Oh, hee ha ha. I like that shit. I think that.
Wait, one more time.
Oh, hee ha ha. Oh, hee ha ha.
Nice. We should have that be a sound on here.
That's what they do.
I love that. Let me see if there's any other cyber deals.
Well, according to Juan, the Sam Show ends soon, and I recommend picking that up because the physical edition of that game is batshit fucking crazy. I'm pretty sure I kept mine though. I for sure kept my Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Let's see. Yep. I actually got an import copy because it was a little cheaper, still sealed. But yeah, this game's fucking rad, dude. Like, people are just weirdos. Like,
sorry, I was looking at deals. There's some good stuff.
Yeah, same.
I'm definitely going to buy some stuff off that cyber deal stuff.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm looking too, and I'm getting excited. There's a bunch of good games.
Near Automata, $20.
Is
Yeah.
the thank goodness you're here on Switch or no?
Thank you for being a friend.
Because I'll just buy that on a Steam sale. That's a game I've been really eyeing for a while. It's kind of like a point and click kind of thing, from what I can tell. I could be completely wrong about it though. I didn't play the demo at PAX, but I saw it and like the cute character like style of it looked really interesting to me, and I was like, I'll buy you eventually.
I actually have a video going up tomorrow of a game that I think you might like it.
What's
'Cause-
the game?
I don't know if I should spoil it.
Okay, okay, never mind.
It's well, no, I could tell you.
Okay.
It's a game called Core Keeper.
Core Keeper. Let me look.
It kind of has a bit of like a Stardew Valley vibe to it. It was a sponsored video, but I ended up really liking the game because they just like you just get plopped into this cave and they're like,
Mhm.
okay, have fun. And like you just got to figure out like what the fuck you're supposed to do. And like I did like kind of like a little time lapse of like when I first got in the cave to after several hours of playing it and like all the stuff that I'd built up and all the stuff that I found. It's very interesting. Like there's so many different things that you could do. You can play with like up to 8 people as well online, like together. It's really neat.
Yeah, it has good reviews. I'm like looking at it right now. Okay, I'm gonna add this to my wish list. Thank you.
It's on sale right now on the Switch. See, Leviathan FX knows what I'm talking about. I'd never heard of it before, and they reached out to me and they were like, "You want to check out this game for a sponsor?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And like at first, I was kind of like, "This isn't really my style of game." But then, like once I started like building stuff and like figuring out what I was supposed to do and like just exploring and like you never know what the fuck like you're gonna come across and stuff. Like it's very satisfying. And I still don't know what's happening in the game. There's like these 3. When you start the game out, there's like these 3 main pillars that you had to put gems in. And like the game doesn't tell you anything. They're just like, figure it out. And I like that. They respect you.
That's cool. Let's see. Luis wants to know, may I ask what's easier for you to go into a game? A compelling narrative with bad gameplay or an engaging gameplay with a lackluster storyline? I would appreciate your insights on this.
Gameplay with lackluster story.
I think,
Yeah.
I think both can be true. You know, like sometimes a good narrative can save a game for me that maybe the gameplay is a little kind of just, mid or something. But there's also the opposite where engaging gameplay and not much story is something that I definitely would get into. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say the gameplay over the story.
I agree. Like I tend to play games with strong narratives. Like that's just what interests me. I feel like it sometimes does happen if like the story's really good. Like right now I'm playing this game on Game Pass and I'm not going to say what it was, like what it is, because I don't want to hurt it or anything. But the gameplay is really like the mechanics are really annoying and I'm not having fun playing it. But the story is so captivating and so fun that I'm willing to look over all this bullshit just to find out what happens at the end.
Yep.
But I do agree. If for, I guess, longer term games, because this is like a 3-hour adventure. So like I could like deal with it. But yeah, if it's going to be like a 60-hour game, like I would prefer a weak story and like really good gameplay because at least I'll be having fun.
I remember Call of Cthulhu on the Switch. I really wasn't a huge fan of the gameplay, but like I liked the story. So I ended up finishing it because I wanted to see how everything played out. And it really pissed me off because like the final 2 hours, they finally give you a gun and you're like, why did you not give me a gun like way early? Like what the fuck? It blew me away. It was so fucking random. It was like, oh, finally you can shoot all these people. It's like, what?
I think God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, are those types of games that really kind of push the narrative side over the combat or the gameplay aspect, and it really kind of divided the fan base. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't. I like the new God of War games, but give me the old ones over any day of the week. I'd rather play them.
Same. Also, I missed this one. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good. Big Time 47 wants to know, is the Series X worth buying today? I would say okay, so it's kind of one of those things where if you don't have a console, then that could be a console you would get. I don't know. What are your guys' recommendations?
I mean, you already have an Xbox because everything is an Xbox. So
Oh, dude, we were totally wrong about that in the conversation on the Spawncast. They were talking about Game Pass. The whole campaign is about Game Pass. It's not about like it being an actual Xbox.
no, it's an Xbox. They literally say. Also, MVG, that game you linked looks fucking amazing. I want to play it.
Wait, what was the game?
No, don't worry about it.
What is it?
Don't worry
It's
about it.
on
Oh.
deep discount. It's a deep discount.
Wow,
on
it's
the eShop.
$2.
Yeah.
That's a game.
Yep.
If chat's curious, it's a hentai game. Anyways.
Another one.
Liam wants to know, is Nate done doing Game and Talk? No, he's not. He's been really sick recently.
He has like no voice. Like we play Call of Duty, and he's not even. He never talks. We haven't heard him talk in like what 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm really worried about him. He'll be back eventually soon once he's feeling better. Just it's been a little hard.
He's done talking for a while at least.
Yeah.
See, KFB wants to know, hey RGT, thanks so much for the cameo. You just never disappoint. I made a video out of it and linked your cameo in your book in the description. Thanks again.
No problem, good sir. Thank you for picking up a cameo.
Let's see. Amazing Gonzo says, this has nothing to do with anything, but since RGT's stance on Jeff Keighley, I love how you spelled that, feels substantiated, I'm now inclined to feel old Philly Spencer is living it up in the club.
Hey, now he got that fucking Ozempic. He lost that weight. You know, he's trying to do something.
Wait, Phil's on Ozempic?
Have you seen him lately?
I have not been paying attention.
That motherfucker dropped like 50 pounds since the last time we saw him.
Good for him.
Yeah, is it though? That Ozempic shit, it's going to come out. I guarantee you in 10 years, there's going to be some crazy study or some crazy side effect that ends up coming from that shit that fucking, you know, it's not
there
good.
Already is. It
I mean,
causes stomach paralysis. So yeah, it makes it so you have trouble eating in general, and not the intended effect where you're not hungry. Like it can cause like a bunch of gastro issues.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. And I feel bad because Fat Joe got it, and I like Fat Joe. Most of the people that have gotten Ozempic, I don't really like them, so it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. But like Fat Joe, Fat Joe's cool. I didn't mean to leave that up. Next topic.
Okay, so we talked about the games that are on sale, but okay, so speaking of Keighley, that's a good, oh man, I should have transitioned it there. Okay, so rewind. Let's pretend we just answered that question. Speaking of Jeff Keighley, so they announced the Game Awards, and unfortunately, there weren't many Nintendo-focused titles. So I figured that we could have our own Game Awards, Nintendo Game Awards, and if they were having one, what would you guys nominate and for what?
For this year, I would say Echoes of Wisdom would be in the conversation. Other than that, I haven't really played many Switch games this year, the first-party ones. And I haven't even played Echoes of Wisdom, to be completely honest with you. But I have seen a lot of Josie streaming the game. I saw Sean's video about it. I think it holds up well enough to be in the conversation. I think the difficulty in trying to recommend Nintendo games this year for Game of the Year contenders is simply because a lot of them are kind of older remakes or remasters, I would guess you would call them.
Yeah.
And other ones haven't really hit the highs that we maybe were expecting. Like, I know Brothership just recently came out and reviews are a little all over the place. I know it got I think, was it a 5? Did it get a 5 from IGN or Eurogamer? It was Eurogamer, right, that gave it a 5?
No, it was IGN.
IGN. And then
Yeah.
who gave Jamboree the 5? IGN gave Jamboree the 5.
No, Eurogamer.
Eurogamer.
You're a gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just handing out 5s left and right.
So the point is, I don't think the games maybe are as good as overwhelmingly praise as normal. So it's very hard to throw those types of games into a game into a Game Awards conversation. But look, if we're talking about family games and things like that, yeah, I mean you could probably make the case for something like Jamboree being in there, or Princess Peach. That's another game that obviously came out earlier this year that did pretty well, but it wasn't like overarchingly praised by everyone. So yeah, honestly, I think Echoes is probably the only front runner that would maybe be in a conversation. The other ones, I don't know if they hold up. But that's coming from someone that, again, I haven't played any of these games, so I could just be saying gobbledygook at this point.
So you're not wrong. I know I suggested this topic, but then I was like, I went online and I was like, okay, like what games released this year? And the reason I had to look this up is I have no concept of time. I'm so tired. And so like I was initially thinking, oh, Raincode. Like I love that game. It was a Switch exclusive. That released last year. I played that last year. So I feel like just everything is just blending together in my old age. But when I did look it up and remind myself of games that like I did play, yeah, like I was really excited about Thousand Year Door. But that's been one of my number one games since I played it in like 2008. So it's kind of like one of those things where there wasn't much of a roster. And I feel like that, obviously, we're ending the life cycle of the Nintendo Switch. So what are they going to do? Like release like a shit ton more bangers? Like I get it. And so like from my list, yeah, Thousand Year Door, Echoes of Wisdom. I really enjoyed Emilio, like the Smiling Man.
What
I know,
about
Sean,
Emio?
What?
Emio.
Why did I call it Emilio? I'm tired. Emio. I played that game. I don't know why I picked that up. The Smiling Man. There we go. Emio. I really enjoyed that one. I thought it was a fun, clever like.
What about
addition.
Endless Ocean? Did that come out this year? That was this year, right?
Yeah, I never played that one though. Sean, you ever bought
it.
me my copy? It's really messed up.
You'll survive. It's not
So
good.
rude.
I think this was a
didn't
pretty
get to play the game of the year. I'm so sad. What?
This year was fine, but fine isn't gonna wow anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like we all know, it's a system on the way out. It was a very conservative year, leaning towards a boring year. I really didn't have any sort of like, wow, this is really cool moment where I was in love with anything. I definitely liked Echoes of Wisdom quite a bit. But even that game, as I kept playing it, it was just like, okay, like, I don't know. It could have been better. And it really bothered me how piss poor the inventory management was. Brothership looks like a fucking shell of a Mario and Luigi game. Like, I'm sure it's fine, but it doesn't, that's still, it's an interesting problem that I think Nintendo still has with bringing certain games, and by extension Game Freak, bring certain games and franchises that had always been handheld stuff over to consoles. Like there's still a weird adjustment thing that happens with this, and I think that's what happened with Brothership. So for me, this was just a down year. There wasn't really much that interested me. But if people liked it and stuff like that, that's cool. I think 2025 is already a little more exciting, if assuming that Metroid Prime 4 comes out and Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like I'm super looking forward to that. And of course, the Nintendo Switch 2. So, I mean, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
So you wouldn't have any Nintendo games in a award show this year?
No, but I mean, to be fair, it was slim pickings this year anyways, because this was a shitty ass year for video games. and anyone who says otherwise is a fucking moron. And you could quote me on, you can clip it, you can put it on our social media. I don't care. Anyone who thinks this was a great banner year for video games is an idiot. Unless you're watching the show live, then I mean you're all right.
When someone does clip that, please cut me out of it.
No, just focus on her.
No.
Use AI to make it come out of her mouth.
Yeah. Oh, gee. Thanks.
So,
Thanks,
Celia,
Sean.
would you have any Nintendo games in your conversation for an award show this year?
1,000-Year Door. If they're adding DLC, let's reconsider
Hey.
Paper Mario for that.
Remakes and remasters are allegedly.
That's so. Like, I don't know. I just want to see more new games, and I'm really thankful for remakes because a lot of people didn't get to experience like Super Mario RPG or the 1,000-Year Door or the other billion remake titles. But like, I just really want developers to explore like new stories and
they can't
original gameplay.
It's too expensive.
It's too risky.
I'm well aware
risky.
of that, but it bums me out.
Make one game and it's a failure. Your studio is closed.
Yeah,
well aware of that too.
Time and time again.
Everyone should buy our games. So everyone should buy all the games. Yeah, but like, so like MEO, I said it right this time. I feel like that also narrative was incredible. I really had so whenever we were talking about like if the narrative takes a dive, does it ruin the whole game for you? That happened with me at the end of MEO. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I didn't like how like near the ending like it ended up like that. We can talk about that later. But it didn't ruin the full game for me. I just, Emilio as the smiling man. Why thank you. Yeah, I'm just making up. It'll be my fan mod game.
Did anyone know the content creator of the year people? Like
none of them. None of them.
And I was like, here's Pookie, Sal69, Traxmaster, and here's a fucking VTuber. Like,
are you kidding, or is that their actual names?
That's pretty much. I mean, it might as well have been.
Okay, I was just wondering because I don't remember. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen someone I knew like nominated for the Game Awards.
There was one, and that should have been the sign that this show was a sham and a scam.
Who was it?
6-7 years ago. Booger2988, and fuck him too.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he won, didn't he? Like years ago.
He won. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Cool.
All right.
So yeah, those are the things. So how do we close this out?
Okay,
does anyone have anything?
I thought you had a debate.
Oh, well, the debate was the Game Awards.
Oh.
Well, I think we all agree that.
Yeah, I got really sad.
Yeah. Look, this year's Game Awards, I mean, it could be an absolute disaster the way things are panned out right now. Like, even the nominations themselves outside of Nintendo games aren't really that interesting. And it's not because of the games themselves aren't good. I think there's some good games, and I've played at least half of the Game of the Year contenders this year, the nominations. The problem is it's just the quality of games this year hasn't been as high, I feel like, as previous years. And it's really just kind of diluted the whole Game Award thing for me. And not to mention that the show is 3 hours long, and the amount of padding that's going to be in the show is going to be unbelievable. I feel like there's been so much advertising money and sponsor money thrown into this show that there's going to be so many stupid commercials and just things that are not video game related that have to be in there, to make sure that everyone gets paid. I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to get really excited about the show this year. I don't really get hyped about the Game Awards anyway, but, in previous years, there's always, talk about some new announcements or some reveals and things like that. This year just doesn't feel like any of that's happening. To me, it feels like everyone just wants this year to be done so that we can move on to next year and hopefully on to bigger and better things.
I feel that sentiment because, like, I know they're like, Jeff's gonna say that, it's a great year for gaming. And he's gonna, show about that. But it really, like, it's been a hard year. Like, besides releases in general, just like the state of the industry, it just kind of feels not fake, but I
No,
don't know.
I
I
think
feel
that's
like
a
all
great
of
word.
us.
I think
No,
that's a
it's
great word.
and okay, no, we're not gonna showboat or entertain the idea people are faking it, but like it's just
I
one of those
will.
things.
I will
Okay,
entertain
great,
that.
can't wait.
When was the last? Here. This is a question I asked John. When was the last time a big title had a preview event and it got negative previews?
What?
That's the problem. That is a problem.
Wait,
Yeah, no,
I'm
I get
confused.
what you're
game,
saying.
every big game that's been, that's come out in the last 2-3 years or something like that, they do these preview events. The same people always go to these preview events, and what happens? They all talk about how the game is great. I could think of 2 games off the top of my head that went from great majestical things to the point of where we're writing articles about how great these games are going to be to complete fucking failures. Redfall and Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws. Someone at Forbes wrote an article summarizing all the previews and gathering all the previews to prove to people how great Star Wars Outlaws is going to be. And anyone who questioned the game's quality was just some, buzzword. And then what ended up happening? It was a mediocre game that had nothing to do with fucking Star Wars. They're now backtracking the whole stealth element of the game to where if you get caught, you can now just go guns blasting. You are literally changing a core mechanic of a game months after release. And then I have to go back to, why does nobody question the people who previewed this game and glazed it? Nobody ever does that. And if you do that, you're given a name, you're given a moniker. And yes, there are bad people that grift on that shit way too fucking hard. And, it is a grift for them. And I understand that. But it ends up becoming this one side versus another side. And anyone stuck in the middle, people are just trying to put them on one side or the other side. You can't look at a game. It can't be a game by game perspective sort of thing. And like, people are so afraid, journalists are so afraid to cut off communications with these companies to say something potentially negative about it in a preview. But then when the review comes along, all of a sudden it's a different story. Why? Just be trained. I don't understand. And I don't fucking understand the whole sympathy card that people just play all the time. Oh man, the developers are people. The people working on this game are people. No shit. You know who else are people? Musicians, athletes, people in the TV industry, people in the movie industry. Do we play this whole fucking thing with those industries when they do something, when they release something that sucks, when they release something that's subpar, when they release an album that sucks, when an athlete is not performing up to the standards that they used to or the standards that are presented? No, we're all of a sudden cutthroat. We're all of a sudden, oh yeah, this
John,
is
the same thing happens in the music industry, Tuds. If you looked at Woman's World by Katy Perry, that is a prime example of everyone pushing about how great it was going to be and how cool it was and like all these things. And then when it came out, it was utter garbage. And then everyone started shitting on it.
I do agree to a point what Sean is saying. There has to be some type of correlation between a preview and a release of a game. I will say there's 2 of us on this panel that have beaten Star Wars Outlaws, so I think we can both kind of talk about it. I just beat it a couple of days ago, and if I found out those stealth missions, those 4 stealth missions pissed me off, and if I found out like a few days earlier that they were going to change it, I would have just waited. But the point is, there does seem to be some type of, mismatch between the preview and the reviews on some occasions. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think the days of, publishers paying money for people to come and look at their games and play their games, even though, we're saying they're not sponsored or anything like that. Look, at the end of the day, it kind of feels like they are sponsored a lot of the times, I feel like, but hey, that's one side of the industry I'm not really that familiar with. So maybe I'm not saying all the right things there, but ultimately I've played these games and I didn't really think Outlaws was a good game either at the end of the day. I thought it was okay, but it was nowhere near as good as, what we were led to believe at the end. And something needs to change here, I feel like.
And my final thing on this, and then we'll read DC Fat Cat's thing, is it sickens me. It sickens me to see people, the same people, all the time talking. I saw one tweet that just brought my piss to a boil. It said something along the lines of, the Game Awards is about all of us getting together. And this was a journalist. And that just hit the nail on the head with me. The Friends Club, the usual suspects. And it's like, no, it has nothing to fucking do with you. People like you are more of a problem than they realize, because you'll champion and cheerlead for anyone that'll send you any sort of swag box instead of just being honest about things, instead of just being real about things, because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. I literally No More Heroes 3. What Suda? It was Suda's birthday. They sent me a review copy of it, and they also asked me to give a birthday message to Suda51. That was going to be an internal thing that was given to him. I gave that man a birthday message, and then I tore apart his fucking game in my review. And I didn't care. I didn't care because the game was garbage. People are consumers at the end of the day. We have to stop with the feelings when it comes to these big companies. You want to get feelings with a smaller independent company that's just a handful of people trying to make passion projects. Okay, I get it. I'm talking about the big AAA people. They don't deserve sympathy. The only way that companies are going to learn is when their projects start failing. And when their projects start failing, then and only then will you start to see changes being made, such as with Star Wars Outlaws completely abandoning a main gameplay point months after the release.
Sean, I have a question. Okay, so first off, I made a face because when you said you wished him a happy birthday and then you tore apart, I thought you meant in his birthday video.
No, I was nice in his
happy birthday,
video.
and then you were like, shh, and then like, fuck you, and then like that was it.
No,
and I was like, Jesus Christ, Sean, it's a game. Calm down.
It's two different things. It's the human element.
Then you finished your sentence, but I had to explain my face because I was live reacting to what you were saying. So I have a question. So like, okay.
Thank you for the $2 for my heating bill. I don't turn the heat on. It's on
Sean,
50.
You live on the East Coast. It's fucking cold over there.
58. It'll come on when it's 58.
Can you make a snowman in your house? Like, what happens when it hits freezing? Okay, anyways. So like, being excited about games hasn't changed. It just the medium has. Because I remember reading an article about Quest 64 talking about how fucking cool it was, and then it sucked. So, like, are you enraged? Okay, no, it does suck. Come on.
It was different then.
Oh, it was different then. The medium has just changed. It's being.
It was different then because it wasn't the fucking Circle of Friends click. It was not like that. If somebody left EGM, did they show up at GamePro? If somebody left Nintendo Power, did they show up at Next Generation? No, you did see it because you knew who these people were. Dan Shu never left EGM. Nobody from EGM ever went to a competitor thing. It was a competition. It was trying to sell magazines, get the exclusive story. You get the exclusive story. It's on the cover of your magazine.
I think you're just making, like, I don't know.
I'm not. I will pull
there are some
issues.
points which I do see, yeah, that this feels a little off. But in general, though, I feel like you're being too harsh on these people.
No, I don't think I'm being harsh enough because
Like,
I don't think I'm being harsh enough because they are the reason. Really, if you really want to boil it down, people like them that are gaslighting these companies into thinking that they have great ideas and that everything is going to be a success, they are the ones hurting the games more than people not buying it, because they are the ones giving the feedback to these companies, telling them, oh, this is great, everything's great. And then when it's not, there's no accountability. If I am wrong about a game, if I hype up a game, Balan Wonderworld, and it ends up being a piece of shit, I will be the first person to admit it. I will be the first person, because I don't have an ego with this. It's just my opinion. And if something doesn't pan out, I will let you know. I'll be like, oh, fuck me, I was wrong about that. There's no accountability. If there was accountability, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but there's not. And you see it time and time again for years.
I just feel like I'm choosing my words wisely with this, because it's just kind of one of those things also where I don't think it's the journalist's fault. Like, I just don't.
You think it's
like,
higher ups?
I do not know what to say about that, but basically
We
what
all
I'm
know
going to say is,
Concord should be game of the year.
oh yeah, obviously. We definitely should do that.
I'm just saying.
No, and I respect your opinion on things, but like, I feel like one day you should come out to an event that's meant for all of us to get together, and like, you might actually like these people. Like, a lot of them are really, really kind.
That's not. I can like.
You can make a lot of friends.
I don't want to make friends.
Oh my god, you make so many friends.
I can be friends with someone that I disagree with.
Of course, but I feel like you would see more of a human side of things if you actually.
I'm not interested in that. My friend's quota is full.
Okay, guys. Thanks for coming to Game and Talk. I hope this was a banger episode for you guys. So, MVG, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Modern Vintage Gamer. I have videos every Monday, so check out the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for having me on, guys. It's a good talk. I know we got a little deep there with the convo, but hey, this is why we do what we do, because we all should have our own opinions and our own thoughts about things. I don't think anyone is wrong. I think Sean brought up some good points. Celia, I know you have some thoughts as well. But yeah, good conversation, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming by. Sean, do you have anything to shout out?
You can find me on RGT85. I talk about video games and video game like things. Also, I have a book that I'm currently stalling for time because I'm getting a link for it, and you could buy it here. We also have the after show coming up in just a few moments. If you are a channel member, there'll be a community post. Hopefully, we have to make John make it since Josie isn't here. And yeah. And that's Celia.
Hi. Sorry, I was answering a question, MVG. You can find me here on Game and Talk. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm at Celia B with 3 E's. And for work stuff, we're at Yacht Club Games. If you haven't heard about the Shovel Knight concert, that's a big project that I'm working on. It's going to be in New York and in LA in 2025. Check it out, shovelknightconcert.com. Okay.
Ooh, I found an edible cracker.
Oh, where did you find that?
In my pouch.
Oh, cute. Love that. Okay, bye, guys.